Right, we've got a 2013 Ram 2500 four-wheel drive mega cab. This is a Longhorn edition. It has about 15,000 miles on it. We just got home from, well, not really just got home, but we've had it for about a month. And we are getting ready to install the Rough Country 5-inch bracket lift kit. And we will try to keep everybody up to date and see. I'm doing this video because there wasn't a good video that kind of showed the steps and if there's any tough places or just kind of help out. So my 16-year-old son and myself, we're going to install this just using hand tools. We do have, a decent compressor and some decent air tools. What we've done so far is we've taken the shock mounts off at the top. Owen's got the light on the shock mount. You can kind of see back in there. There's one down there, and the one over on the driver's side as well. They're pretty tight, so especially the driver's side. So you kind of got to, right here, the air intakes.
That's the passenger side.
I'm sorry, on the passenger side. The air intake is in the way, so the easiest way that we found was not to come from the top there where the flashlight is. We actually put our hand from underneath the air intake and came from around and got it. So here are a couple of the brackets that, this one here is the lower control arm bracket, and this goes up against the frame like this, and this is the upper control arm bracket, and this one here actually goes on the axle itself for the upper control arms. I'm kind of impressed. This is very thick, heavy duty, nice welds. There's some shipping damage on it a little bit. I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, it is underneath there. It's powder coated, it appears to be, but again, just from shipping it. These are real heavy, strong brackets. I chose this kit not just because it's an inexpensive kit. Being an old Jeeper, I built lots of Jeeps, built lots of suspension systems for some pretty hardcore four-wheeling. I'm not going to do that obviously with a 2500 truck. I'm going to use it for camping, for some slide off-road, but not real heavy duty. But I like this because it keeps the angles the same. The suspension should work as designed. All the angles should be factory angles without having a lot of the control arms heading up into the frame, and which really adds to the stiffness of the ride. I'm really looking forward to giving this a shot. And again, it was the design of it, not the inexpensiveness of this kit. So we'll keep you up to date and follow along as we go along. Also wanted to mention, the only other thing that we've done already is we've taken the track bar bracket off, or I'm sorry, not the bracket, the track bar off the frame where it attaches, and that we used a 21 millimeter socket to do that. And here's the bolt that came off of that. Notice it's got a flag nut on it, so you really don't even have to put a wrench on the backside as you're taking it off, just the 21 millimeter on the front. It is kind of tight getting in your 21 millimeter socket and the impact wrench in there, but so we had to use a short socket, not the typical impact sockets on it. Here on the driver's side, you can see where the bolt is missing. That is where the track bar attaches to the frame. So again, it's on the. I can't reach it. So right here, the directions say do not, when you're jacking up, or even if it's on a lift, do not put the jack stand in between the upper control arm bracket here. I'm sorry, the lower control arm bracket and the transmission cross member. So we've got our jack stands clear back here on the transmission cross member, the frame mount here. They seem to be fine, but I did have some concerns. We're not going to jack it up a lot. We're going to work with it fairly low. What we're going to do is we're just going to take the tires off and lower the axle out of it this way, so that we're working very close to the ground here. And then once we get the new springs in, then we'll jack up the axle further, and that will lift the truck up so that we can get the tires on and get it out of the garage. All right, bye-bye. from both of the axles right here, 13mm wrench, right behind the coils on both sides. Next is we're getting ready to remove the pitman arm and the drag link from the pitman arm here. That should probably take a little bit of work. We'll see what happens. So that was a 13mm wrench on the brake line, and right here is a 21mm. Alright, never had that work before. Just hit it with a hammer. Right. Pickle fork time. Find the right one. Get it out with a pickle fork. I'd really like for it to just work with hit it with a hammer. Right. Okay. You don't need to keep taking it. You done? No. So just a couple of hits with the pickle fork. I was able to knock it loose. Again, I've never had it work where you just hit the side of it and break the taper loose. I've got a kit with 3 or 4 of them, and they just screw on. This was the smallest one, and again, just kind of 3, 4, 5 whacks and came right apart. So nice, very nice. New cars. So we just took out the lower shock bolt. I'm using a 21mm socket. It goes kind of in the front here, and those bolts come all the way out. We had to use a 1/2 inch wobble with the impact wrench to get it out, because these were in the way here from the sway bar. I'm going to try to get the spring out now and the shock. We did the shock and the sway bar on the other. I'm sorry, the shock and the spring on the other side. A little bit of a booger, not too bad, but the shock was, because we've got this lowered so far out, the shock is kind of wedged in there, and it takes a little bit of on a bar to get out. So let's see what we've got on this side here, the passenger side. Shock's lower, so let's see where we're at. Starting to move it. Okay, out. Nice. Shock out. Spring goes over the shock. There we go. Boy, the new springs are sure a lot taller than these ones. We'll take a picture of both of them side by side. Oh, here's the rubber space from the top. Keep it quiet. You want to put that back on too when you put the new ones on. So we'll take a picture in just a second showing both the top of the new or the sizes between the two springs. Just a little bit of difference, huh? The new ones sure are a lot heavier too. I mean, not just besides it, they're a lot. Seems like a heavier gauge wire as well. So we just disconnected the lower control arm from the frame, the upper control arm from the. Let me show you. The upper control arm from the axle, and here's the bracket. Again, looking at it, I'm trying to I know that's not going to work, just because of the way it's spaced out. But check this out. This goes on. This goes in place. You gotta hold. Can you, with the other hand, hold that upper control arm for me? Not with your foot. With your heck. Anyways, if you get this, well, here you go, right here, the bracket. If you get it in right, it just slides right on, kind of. But it has to come from the back to the front. I mean, very slick, very nice. So, sleeve in the original bolt. hole. New bolt. Let me get this started. Obviously I'm not there. Okay, and then the sleeve. And right through. I mean, nicely built. I mean, very simple, very easy. You just got to come at it from the right direction. So we'll do a little bit more, and then we'll pick it up again. Okay, so we last showed you where we put in the front upper control arm bracket onto the axle side. We put in the main bolt that goes across there, and then we also put in now these 1.5 inch bolts. These all had to be drilled. I drilled it with a pilot hole, and then I went through and then I drilled them with the 7/16 inch bolt. This one here, you have to take this whole the caliper off and the caliper bracket off, but I still couldn't get the drill in to do this one. So this one was drilled a little bit at an angle, and then this one here on the back side was also drilled at a little bit of an angle because the oil pan is in the way. There's just no way to do it. This bracket here, we put this bracket in. Now this is the opposite side, obviously. This fits inside the original bracket. I mean, this kit is slick, you guys. I'm telling you. I mean, it's going together very easy. Then this is a 4 5/8 inch bolt. This bolt is in a separate bag of bolts, so when you're looking for it, that's in a different bolt bag than all the other bolts that you've been using so far. And then it also uses, then we put in the back one, and the back uses this handy dandy flag bolt, and it has to fit in through the frame down like this, and then you hold it. I held on to it until I got it good and started because I didn't want to lose it in the frame, so that's just something to be aware of as well. So, alright. Our next step is we're going to reconnect this side. We're going to put the upper control arm in. We're going to put the bolt through it. We're going to do the same thing to the lower, but we're not. The directions say do not tighten it down yet, so we're just going to loosely install it, and then we'll come back. So there you go. All right, this side's done. These bolts and this one here have been left loose per the directions, but everything on this side's back together. We've even got tension on the spring. So far, nothing on this kit. Well, it hasn't said yet to hook the brake lines back up. That looks very simple too. The new bracket is built into the new extension arm here, or this bracket here. There's a small tab right here and a hole that goes through it. It's not tapped, so I guess we're going to have to tap it ourselves with when we put it back together. So far, nothing on this kit is hard. It was a little bit difficult. You have to pull the axle back into here to get this bolt to line up, and this was a real tight getting this in. But again, nothing has been difficult on this kit. Everything fits nice and neat. Everything does what it's supposed to do. Again, I'm very impressed. It's got to be probably the easiest lift kit I've ever installed. So that's what I was hoping. I'm going to go over and do the other side now. Okay, so we've done switched over now, and we've done the driver's side. Driver's side was a little bit more difficult. We had to, and it doesn't say in the directions, but in order for us to put the bolts through, we had to take off the front drive shaft. Just loosen the front there. Make sure you mark it before you take it off so that you can put it back on exactly the same way. We took the drive shaft off so that we can slide and move things around a little bit easier. The drive shaft was holding it up. It wouldn't slide out as far. It was also a little bit tougher to drop the axle as far as we needed to get the springs in because of the pumpkin, and we had the jack on this side below the pumpkin. So we lifted it up. By the way, this axle weighs a freaking ton. Not like a Jeep axle by any means. So we've moved the jack over here so that we can lower the axle down far enough to get the springs in. So the springs are in, the shocks are in. We're now going to move over and do the pitman arm. And pitman arm, we need a 46 millimeter socket to take it off. But we have been everywhere looking for a 46 millimeter socket, and we weren't able to find it. So we got a 24-inch crescent wrench that hopefully we're going to be able to take that nut off with and go from there. Just couldn't find a 46 millimeter socket for that thing. So we will start on that and we'll get back to you guys shortly. By the way, we rented a Pitman arm puller, the big one from O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and it was about $14 or $15. You can buy one there for the same price, $14 or $15. They have the smaller one. Make sure that you get the bigger one. So we're gonna do that right now, and then we'll stop recording, do that, and then we'll be right back and we'll see how that went. Wait. Where's the other? Okay, so here is the Pitman arm puller, and it's the large one from O'Reilly's. It doesn't fit. It's too small. So just not. That was useless. 15 bucks off the tip. Good thing I rented that. I did have this. This is a Craftsman gear puller, and I was able to use this. I used the impact wrench and I cranked the crap out of this thing. It would not budge, but I had it under a lot of tension, and I hit this, just the tip of it here, with the hammer, and the thing just flew off. So I just gave a whack with a 2.5 pound sludge here, and it just flew off. So make sure everybody's out of the way, or the fingers, kids, those types of things when you do this. But this actually worked very well to do it. Okay. Alright, so we're just finishing doing our final tightenings of our lower control arm, our upper control arm. We've done the Pitman arm, we've attached it. An interesting thing is, just to be aware of, the track bar, not the track bar, the, what am I thinking? The tie rod that ties into the to the Pitman arm, I forget the name of it, drag link. The drag link attaches to the Pitman arm upside down from where it used to come in like this. Now it comes in like this to the Pitman arm, so you have to make sure that you loosen everything up and put that in. The directions don't say that. The other thing is, we've had a little bit of a tough time getting the anti-sway bar back on. The brackets went on real easy. So what we're going to do is, we've got one side on and we've got one bolt on the other side on. What we're going to do is, we're going to finish lowering the vehicle, and hopefully that will put the correct tension and kind of push it up on there, so that where it needs to be, and we're able to tighten it down. So right now, like I said, we've just got a couple more bolts to tighten down. We're going to put the front tires on. We're going to put the old tires on it, and then tomorrow we're going to take it to the tire shop, and we're going to be putting on fuel throttles, 20-inch by 9 fuel throttles, 20 plus 20 positive offset, very close to the stock wheels, and then we're going to be putting 295 65 20s, basically a 35-inch tire, but I want it narrow. I drive a lot in the snow pit. I'm up here by Yosemite. I do a lot of driving in the snow. Try to keep as much tire underneath the car as possible. So we'll get back with you a little bit later. We'll show you the rear, doing the rear, show you how it finishes up, and then we'll show you the final pictures when we're all done. Alright? Okay, so we're working on disconnect. The camera's really close here, so it's hard to tell. So we're disconnecting the emergency brake and working on the bracket on the driver's side. We're doing the rear of the lift right now. We've got a we put the emergency brake on. We put a vice grip on to hold the wire, and then we took the emergency brake off to hold pressure on it. And now we are using a 13mm wrench to adjust this nut right here, to loosen it up, and then we're going to take it apart right here and put it back together, then to do the drilling on this bracket right here. So, okay, so we have the front lifted and the back not. We do have the brake spacer put in, the emergency brake spacer, but we've had to put it all back together. I told you earlier in the video, we live up here by Yosemite and Oakhurst, and we're getting ready to evacuate for a wildfire, so we had to hurry up and throw it all back together, and so that we can get the heck out of Dodge. So hopefully there'll be tools and what have you all here when we get back, so we can finish this project, and hopefully our wheels will still be here. We're excited to get it all done. So, all right. Okay, so we are back. The fire passed by, burned up part of Oakhurst. I'm sure you've seen it on the news. August 2014, and lots of people are still evacuated, but it looks like we're good here for a little bit, so we're going to finish up this lift, and we're going to work on the back now and see if we can get these rear blocks in before all hell breaks loose again. So hopefully we get this done. So we've got the truck on the jacks underneath the axle. We've got the jack underneath over here with a block so that we can lift up the frame, and we're just disconnecting now from the U-bolts, and wondering how we're going to put in the shocks with the, because they're gas charged shocks and they're pretty powerful. So we're going to do this, then we're going to try to separate the two one side at a time. Hopefully I can do this only one side. I don't have to loosen both sides at a time, and we'll go from there. The rear blocks for the lift, the 5-inch lift on the block is, as you can see, about 3 7/8 in the front and a little bit in the back, and it's a 4-inch block. And when you're installing it, the directions say put the tall end toward the back. So that's where we're at. And while we're filming here, you might hear noise. That's the scanner. We're still listening for the fire information. So, all right. Okay. All right. So putting the block on the frame and lifting from the frame didn't work. We had to loosen the U-bolts on both sides before we can remove the U-bolts on both sides. This is a heavy freaking axle. And then what we did was we lifted the spring using the floor jack and a big heavy block here. Probably not the safest thing to do, but it's what we had. We also stabilized the floor jack so that it couldn't move, so that it was pretty secure. And we had another jack with 4x4s underneath that we used to stabilize as well, just in case. And we also had 2 jacks under each side of the axle, just jack stands under each side of the axle, just to make sure that we were secure and safe. So now we're just tightening everything up, 90 foot-pounds of torque. Takes a really deep socket on these. The bolts are a little bit long, but not bad. Just a lot of it, you just got to manhandle it to get this to work. So that's where we're at. Okay, so the lift is done. We've got the front done and the back done. Now we're off to the tire store. We've got the new wheels in the back of the truck.
You want to show them the wheels?
We'll show them when they're on. And the back seat of the truck is still full of stuff to be evacuated. The wind has actually picked up and makes things a little bit scary again with the fire. So we're going to go to the tire shop and then we'll show you it all done. Looks good though. Okay, we just got back from the tire shop. Sweet! These are fuel throttle 20-inch. These are the PVD finish. I wanted the PVD because they're a little bit more durable in the snow and the ice up here. Snow and the ice just eats the chrome wheels, and so I can't tell the difference. They look absolutely fantastic. They're 20 by 9. They have the plus 20 millimeter offset. And this is with the 5-inch RCX or rough country suspension bracket lift. So Owen, let's move up to the front. And again, these have the plus 20 millimeter offset on the wheels. If you're looking to see what they are, come on over this way. This is about how much they stick out. These are the Toyo tires. They stick. They're pretty. They're well tucked in. These are the Toyo tires. These are the 295 65 20s. Basically, they're 35 by 12-inch tires or so. So, maybe a little bit over 12-inch. Looks fantastic. I'm jazzed with the way it looks. It looks fantastic, and it drives absolutely great. Drives like stock. Drives like stock. I was actually hoping for a little bit stiffer ride, but it really drives like stock. So as I was putting these on, the tire guys were complimenting on the tires and wheels. So looks great.